Well, I know by now people are aware that not everyone is on board with the rhetoric that was spewed by Charlie Kirk. Now, I know some people are going to run to the comment section and they're going to voice their opinions, but I'm going to read this article and then we can get into more of this. And then I might even add some of what I know. It's not an easy conversation. So this is out of Associated Press. Black pastors say Charlie Kirk is not a martyr while decrying racism and political violence. And I'm going to personally say that I agree with that title. So let's read this 5-minute read. And this is by an Aaron Morrison and a Jaylene Green. And so you see here that I've been noticing a lot of pastors and religious faith leaders are standing up and speaking out about the vitriol that has been viewed multiple times on social media and on college campuses. How Charlie Kirk is being memorialized, with many conservatives and white Christians, particularly evangelicals, emphasizing his faith and labeling him a martyr, has sparked a lot of debate among black clergy people who are trying to square a heroic view of a 31-year-old with insulting statements about people of color that were key to his political activism. So this is the memorial, and you can see it had a real large turnout, which is very disturbing. And I'm not really that surprised, and I'm going to give you some more insight on this. This right here that you're looking at is the memorial of Charlie Kirk. And it's a still photo, and you can see where it was in an arena. How you die does not redeem how you lived, said by Reverend Howard John Wesley of Alexandria, Virginia, said in a sermon in the aftermath of Kirk's killing that has amassed tens of thousands of views online. So the reactions to Kirk's death marked a notable split screen moment in America's racial divide, playing out at the same time on Sunday across the country. So I'm going to continue reading this. From the pulpits of black churches, pastors use their sermons to denounce what they call hateful rhetoric from Kirk that runs counter to the teachings of Jesus Christ and the gospel. In a packed football stadium in Arizona, tens of thousands of people celebrated Kirk in a religious-themed memorial as a martyr, an inspirational and principled conservative hero. Kirk's killing on a college campus in Utah, captured in a graphic video that went viral, as well as the aftermath of his death, have become the latest fault line in politics and race in America under President Donald Trump. Many black pastors in the largest African American Christian denominations linked the veneration of Kirk, who used his platform to discuss matters of race in America, including statements that denigrated black people, immigrants, women, Muslims, LGBTQ people, to the history of weaponizing faith to justify colonialism and enslavement and bigotry. So Christianity told itself that black people were inferior and therefore enslaved us, said the Reverend Jackie Lewis, pastor of Middle Collegiate Church in New York City, adding that powerful voices have long controlled the microphone and used it to reshape Christianity to serve power, exclusion, and hate. So here is the Charlie Kirk Memorial, and that is Vice President J.D. Vance. We can call it Christian escape, but it's white nationalism wrapped up in talk of Jesus, Lewis said in an interview this week, and it's not Christian. It's just not. Now Lewis and others said black pastors must speak boldly, looking to their tradition of speaking out against those who promote racism. How Charlie Kirk transformed America. So these are the memories of Charlie Kirk. So I'll come back to that, and I don't think that I'm going to play it, but I'm going to tell you something that happened to me this weekend in reference to this man. So we're criticizing the way the world is because that's our job, she said. Not for the Jesus I know. The presence of tens of thousands of followers who nearly filled a professional football stadium in Arizona for a memorial service Sunday attended by Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and MAGA movement supporters is a testament to the massive influence that Kirk accumulated in conservative America. So it was part memorial service, but another part of it was more like a political rally. This was said by a Reverend Joel Bowman, pastor of Temple of Faith Baptist Church in Louisville, Kentucky. The conflation of Christian symbolism and right-wing conservatism has really been a hallmark of the brand of Christian nationalism we have seen in the last 8 to 9 or 10 years, since Trump has defined Republican politics. So many spoke of Kirk as a family man whose strong Christian faith, belief in unfettered expression of ideas and ultra-conservative values were part of his appeal. So my friends, for Charlie, we must remember that he is a hero to the U.S. of America, and he is a martyr for the Christian faith, Vance said. The Reverend F. Bruce Williams, pastor of Bates Memorial Baptist Church in Louisville, Kentucky, had rejected the martyrdom assertion well before Vance addressed Kirk's mourners in Arizona. While emphasizing that Kirk's life was tragically taken by violence, Williams said in a sermon shared more than 40,000 times on Facebook, what is also tragic is they're trying to make him a martyr of the faith. Now, he did violently die, but he did not die for the faith. Not the faith that I know. Not for the Jesus that I know. Charlie Kirk did not deserve to be assassinated, agreed Wesley, pastor of Alfred Street Baptist Church, in his online sermon. But I am overwhelmed seeing the flags of the U.S. of America at half-staff calling this nation to honor the venerate, a man who was an unapologetic racist and spent all of his life sowing seeds of division and hate into this land. Clergy decried comparisons with Martin Luther King Jr. Kirk's racist statements include saying without evidence during a discussion on race and crime on the Charlie Kirk Show podcast that prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That year, he also claimed affirmative action policies were the only reason prominent black women like Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson had advanced in their careers. You had to go steal a white person's slot to be taken somewhat seriously, Kirk said on his podcast. Kirk also once called the landmark civil rights law granting equal rights to people of color a mistake, and described civil rights icon Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. as awful, leading many black church leaders to reject comparisons between Kirk's killing and King's 1968 assassination. How dare you compare him to Martin Luther King Jr., the Reverend Jamal Bryant, pastor of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Seacrest, Georgia, said in a sermon posted to his Instagram account. The only thing they got in common is both of them was killed by a white man. After that, they got nothing else in common. I have to agree. Interjecting that. The Reverend Freddie Haynes III, pastor of Friendship West Baptist Church in Dallas, echoed Bryant in cautioning the Kirk-King comparison. Let me hasten to say I am anti-political violence. Kirk should still be alive. But he added in a sermon posted on Instagram, I don't agree with anything Kirk said. What Kirk said was dangerous, and what he said was racist, rooted in white supremacy, nasty and hate-filled, but he should still be alive. Some pastors emphasize Kirk's faith and traditional values. Kirk's conservatism does resonate with some black pastors because they are themselves conservatives who subscribe to evangelical political ideology that has been on the rise in the Trump era. Patrick L. Wooden, Sr., a pastor at Raleigh, North Carolina, celebrated liberal policies promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. They have left behind working-class black Americans in favor of other groups. He also agreed with Kirk's statement against transgender individuals and others of LGBTQ community. I pray that our country has not degenerated to the point that if you cannot overcome someone's point of view, someone's stated position, I hope the response isn't that you shoot them with a gun, said Wooden, whose pastors the Upper Room Church of God in Christ and is an ordained bishop in the predominantly African American Pentecostal denomination. So this was the article that was put out by AP writers Louis Andreas Haino in New York, and Peter Smith in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania contributed to this article as well. So if I butchered the name, sorry for that. Now, you see J.D. Vance at the memorial, and then you see this pastor here. He's a pastor of a church, and I believe I mentioned him earlier. And then you see another pastor here, and then you also see the memorial for Charlie Kirk. that was pretty large and a big turnout. And then you see clergy people who are speaking out about the rhetoric that was posted during his being alive, and the things that he said that were very controversial and totally opposed to even blacks being accepted in American society. Okay, so I'll say this. I know some people want to go to religion, and I know some people are heavily involved in religion, and they want to look at religion as separate from all of this. But I always knew in my heart, deep in my heart, and I think a lot of this was because of what I had seen my mother and family members and other people's family members in the South have to go through, that this religion that people are flocking to is a white nationalist religion. And those postcards from in history where you see people standing around gathered at lynchings, they were considered as rituals, and it was all included in the religions. They used the Bible to justify the killing and the hate. They didn't view it as hate. They view it as a purpose and a thing that was justified because they felt that they were more of a superior race of beings and that we weren't even human. And so this is not uncommon, and there are still people that still believe these beliefs today. So I cannot align myself with people who believe in this and then try to go to an organization where people are being mistreated and hated on simply because of the color of their skin. It still goes on today. It is not anything new. It is old, but it is continued and it is prevalent. Now, I was this weekend in Dollar Tree, and I was just walking and I was picking up a few things, and I hear this man over in the aisle, and I can hear him. He was talking real loud, and I think he wanted people to hear what he was saying. So he goes on the phone, on his cell phone, and he's basically talking to somebody. Oh, you know, whether people believe it or not, Charlie Kirk was trying to change America and make everybody conservative, and he was trying to make everybody Republican. And he was going to be the next president. And I don't know why this man would even say this, because I don't believe that he would have been accepted. Now, when I saw the man, I had to look to see who he was. And he was a Mexican man. And he wasn't light complexion, he was dark complexion. I mean Mexican, like south of the border Mexican, someone that you would think would not support this, because right now a lot of people in his family or people he knows that look like him can be picked up by ICE. They're profiled heavily right now. And I believe Charlie Kirk would have supported someone like him being deported. So what that also brought to me is when I looked at a clip of the memorial, I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw people that looked like me, black people, a sprinkle of them in the audience. And I thought to myself, wow, these must be the black conservative evangelicals. Despite what this man has said about their culture and their well-being even being in existence of their presence and accepted at all, they're still showing up because they feel some type of way about the killing. Wow. Where was that outpour for all of the people in our culture. Where was it? The same show and turnout. You didn't really see that for Trayvon Martin. You didn't really see as many for George Floyd. You saw people making fun of their killings, mocking their killings, joking about putting knees in people's necks. You saw people who actually made a painting. Zimmerman, after he murdered that kid, he made a painting and it went viral and it was selling online and they had to take it down. And then he also did something with the Skittles. They mocked the killing. It reminds me much of the whole scenario of Strange Fruit, where they feel justified by killing blacks, and it's okay to kill people of color, but it's not okay to kill white folks who are promoting the hate. It seems very contradictory. It seems very double standard and very violent. And now I'm hearing we got the same people who swore up and down they hated rap music. You got people who are doing political MAGA rap, which is counter to promote lynching. I'm hearing now there's rappers, white rappers, promoting lynching people of color. And we're now seeing that people mysteriously are missing. They're getting kidnapped. And we've been hearing about people having a noose around their neck and being tied to trees with broken arms and legs, but somehow they climbed up there by themselves with broken arms and legs and hung themselves to trees. I don't think people are really buying this and believing this to be the truth. And they're saying that they committed suicide. We've seen this all before. And this is a repeat of the ugly history of America coming to fruition all over again. And with this article, it's basically pointing out, when you see the sea of people that are there, that they're in line with this behavior. They're validating this behavior. They're validating this vitriol and this hate. And that is what is even more disturbing than anything. And I might add, for this to continue to go on, you cannot have a great America at all. Great, like I said, was not great for everyone. This great America that he claims that this is, it wasn't great for people of color when they were denied jobs, or their application is thrown in the trash, or they're not even given a chance to get hired. Great in America is not people being hungry and not having enough food to eat, and then not having a place to live because they can't live in particular neighborhoods, so they have to live in neighborhoods where there's a lot of disinvestment. That is not considered great. Now, it may be great for a specific group of folks, but it wasn't great for everyone. Great in America is not when little black boys and girls go outside to play with little white kids, and the white kids are told to go in the house. Don't play with the inners. That's what my mother experienced during Jim Crow. Those were not great times. When you had to go to an outhouse to use the bathroom or walk miles to go to the bathroom, and other people are right there next to a bathroom and the bathroom has whites only. Those are not great times. Not at all. Hearing people on podcast in the year of 2025 saying that civil rights was a mistake. Those are not great America and great times at all. And what we're seeing today in Texas, 3 detainees were killed. Well, one was injured, almost nearly killed. 2 were murdered by a sniper shooting. The violence continues, and it's all political violence. And then the stories and the narratives are always spent that the liberals had something to do with it, when there are no liberals around in the vicinity doing the shooting. And then you trigger people that have mental issues, or maybe they have some other issues, emotional issues, but you still won't take accountability that a specific group or specific groups of people are targeted. Now, I disagree with the pastors that have said that they don't agree with all of the other individuals, that they're creating this wall of division with people that are LGBTQ and transgender people, because they are still human and they're people too. I will say this, a lot of these divisions came straight from these churches. A lot of this hate came straight from these churches because they were white nationalist, white supremacy churches. And blacks were given the Bible because that was all you had, because you were supposed to believe that your heaven was somewhere when you died, because you were suffering right here. And I do not align myself with any of it. I don't care what any pastor has to say, even the black ones. And I know that now you're late in the game stepping up and speaking out, but you're late. So, having said that, I take it personal because I know people who lived in Jim Crow and what they went through, and they told me about the burning crosses. Those were religious too, by the way, and those were not great times here in America. And we're repeating the same thing, the same ugly, violent thing all over again. And that doesn't make it right. So if you want to think that religion is going to save us, think again, because this is not coming from a good place. None of it is. And there will be more killings because nobody has learned their lesson yet. From where I'm sitting, I see more hate, even more so. And ever since, and nobody wants to say this, ever since we elected this man, those that have done that, because I didn't elect him, but I'll say the we as that majority of conservatives and evangelicals that are sitting on here trying to use religion to push it at folks. This is why we're getting the vitriol that we're receiving. And for those black evangelicals that attended that memorial, shame on you. Because somebody went through hell so that you could even be here. And for you to do that, they're rolling over in their grave. I can't see in the world why you would want to support this. You have to be going through some kind of identity crisis or just totally delusional. But you never experienced what Jim Crow was really like, and it wasn't happy times. And I'm here to tell you that because I did not hear anybody that I knew that experienced it say that those were great times in America. None of them had. So Brian, Mark, whatever, all these other people, these political pundits, conservative wannabe black folks, you don't see any of them in the White House doing anything, and if they were, I wouldn't follow them neither. Those were not great times in America. They never were. They never will be. And seeing all this death and killing, people doing what they're doing, none of it is great. This is not a great America at all. And at this rate, it still isn't. And it won't be until people learn how to realize and hold themselves accountable for this. You can't preach to people and talk religion when you want to see groups of people murdered. You cannot do that. So I'm going to leave this right here. And then you don't like cancel culture, but you're canceling people for telling the truth. That doesn't make it right either. Oh, so it's okay for you to want black people dead and not have rights, not have housing, not be able to thrive, not be able to live. Those that separated themselves, you hear in history what happened to their towns. They were flooded out, they were burned out, they were killed, they were murdered. Just recently, you had the people from Tulsa, Oklahoma, go to court and try to get their reparation or for what had happened to their parents and their people's houses. They were burnt to the ground. They saw death when they were children, and now they're old elderly people, and they did not grant them any reparation whatsoever. These are not great times at all, and don't you begin to tell me that. And don't you use that fake religion, because it isn't good. None of it is. It comes straight from the devil. What we see right here, we don't have to go and die and go to hell. We are living in it. And there ain't no rapture. He ain't picking up people that go around saying they want to hurt blacks and kill black folks and take rights, civil rights away from folks. Now, if you don't like what I said, then don't come to my page anymore. And I mean that, because I know I'm telling the truth. Because this is not anything godly when you want to hurt people because they're not the same skin color, because they don't believe the very things that you believe. You don't like them because they're black. You don't like civil rights. It was a mistake. If you think like that, then you are not doing the right things at all. You are not coming from a good place, and you can't call yourself Christian. Not the kind of Christian that you think you claim you are. And I never did like that group anyway, because I know it was straight from the devil. I saw those postcards. And I saw people who actually were living during that time when things like that were supposedly acceptable. And we're repeating that ugly history again. So for people to sit up here and think this is cool, you need your head examined. I don't agree with it. Yes, I'm saying I don't agree with it. I disagree with it. Killing people because they don't look like you. So anyway, I'm going to let this video go. And yes, I'm very passionate about it. And if you want me to tell the truth, I'm going to tell how I feel it is the truth. Because it is. This ain't right. This ain't no great America. It is not. Never was. Firing people from their jobs because you think you're cutting, budget cutting. There's greed going on here. Power and control that people want to have over others. They don't want to see anybody have anything because they've got it all. And that ain't no great America. It don't make it right at all. And for you guys to be in a memorial and think that this was okay because this man suffered at the hands of what he actually promoted, that's wrong too.